G'day folks, g'day folks, g'day folks, g'day folks, Connor here from C-Dubs Media, back with another video. And I know it's been a little bit of a long haul between videos. To cut it short, simply I went away on holiday overseas, then I came back and I got really sick, and then I had to go on a work trip. So that's why it's been so long between videos, for those of you that do actually care. But today we are reviewing the Oppo Reno 11F 5G. And it's not a bad little device for 600 Aussie dollars. So without further ado, let's get stuck into the video. Let's go. Now, 600 Aussie dollars is a competitive little price range these days. You've got like your Samsung A55 range, you've got the Nothing 2A phone, you've got the Oppo Reno 11F 5G. I mean, there's lots of good little devices available here for 600 Aussie dollars. And I've just got to say that this isn't the only option. It might not be the best option, but this is my just sort of general review of it. I have used the phone for 1 week. I do want to point out simply the specs. It is a 256 gig storage here, which is nice. It is only 8 gigs of RAM. So if you're looking for more, the Nothing 2A comes in at 12 gigabytes. This is a 5000 milliamp hour battery, 6.7 inch display, and a 64 megapixel rear facing camera and 32 megapixel front facing camera or portrait camera. And they're really selling this device on it's a portrait device. It's portrait. That's what they're talking about. And because I'm so in love with myself, I have taken a number of portrait photos with it, which I will get to soon. And now the chipset is a MediaTek 7050 or 7050, whatever you want to call it. So not bad at all. This is how it looks. I really like the look of it. It's got a really nice back to it. It's got that sort of two-tony effect, bit cloud-like. I don't know. I forgot the names. I'll put the names down up here on the screen. But it looks nice. I do think it looks different. It's good to see companies playing around with their look and feel of their devices. And here's a good example. Now, on top of it being a 5000 milliamp hour battery, it is also 67 watt Super VOOC charging, which basically means 48 minutes to a full charge. So that's pretty incredible. I really like that about this device. Super VOOC with Oppo has always been, for me, the best charging. It's the best charging in the game. And it also has a 4 years durable battery rating. They've probably rated it themselves, but you should be able to get 4 years of battery life out of this. Now those design colors I'm talking about is ocean blue and palm green. Obviously this is the ocean blue version and it looks quite cloudy and oceany like, I would have to say. I like the look of it. Palm green looks pretty good too from the colors, but I haven't seen it in person. Now it does also come in at IP65, which I think is pretty good. You know, you see got dust and some water resistance there. It's not IP68 that you get in the flagships, but you can't expect that at 600 Aussie dollars. Now, for those of you that aren't Australian that are watching this, for us, a flagship costs about 2,000 Aussie dollars. So a mid-ranger is like 1,000 Aussie dollars, and this is 600 Aussie dollars. So you're really coming in at between low and mid-range device here. Now, it comes in at 177 grams and is a mini 7.54 millimeters thick. How do you even fit a battery in that these days? But they do. Now that display is 6.7 inches and is HDR10 plus certified. Is a 93.4% screen to body ratio, which is pretty solid. It's what you expect these days in a candy bar phone. And it has 120 Hertz refresh rate. Now I remember not long ago that was purely for the most flagship of devices. And now here we have it on those low to mid-range devices. Incredible. Love that. Now for the performance, we have ColorOS version 14, we have 8 gigs of RAM, and we have that MediaTek chipset that I mentioned earlier, the 7050. And for me, performance has been pretty good. Now you can see here on screen me gaming. Asphalt 9, it's a pretty intense sort of game, but it seems to be coping just fine with it. However, I did notice some scrolls and some small lags here and there when scrolling on long web pages or my Google feed. That's when I would get some lag or some stutter here and there. And I'm not talking the internet trying to catch up, uploading those images as you're scrolling. I mean just like the page stuttering as I was going. So maybe a software update here and there could fix that. It wasn't incredibly bad. It didn't make the phone unusable. It just made it noticeable. And sometimes that's the difference, when you've got a smooth scroll or a bit of a stuttery, laggy scroll. So something to be noted there. But for general day-to-day use, no problems. That battery life coupled with the software, you're going to have a fairly fluid experience. Now it does come with a shit ton of pre-installed apps, which you will want to uninstall or maybe you want to keep. But there's a lot of extra games on there. Thankfully, you can uninstall them. There is a couple of Oppo apps on here that you can't install, but you can disable them. I would like a bit more freedom. It's a bit of catch-22 here. You've got this amazing software that gives you lots of extra little features and bells and whistles and tips and tricks. Video here if you want to see that. But also, it takes away some flexibility by not being able to uninstall or take completely out some of those Oppo features because some of us want a more pure experience. But I do enjoy the theme store. I think that is nice. It is pleasant. You can definitely find something that suits you. I definitely play around with that and always install a custom theme or even a font or something like that. It just gives it the flavor that suits my personality. So have a look at that. Check that out on any Oppo phone, the theme store, and make it yours. So let's quickly jump outside for some video examples of the Oppo Reno 11 5F, F5G. Whatever. Too many. Too much. Now I did like that 256 gig of RAM and you can expand the storage up to 2 terabyte. Now it does give you what's called clear voice, and that clear voice dials out the sounds of your environment using advanced noise cancelling technology so your voice is heard clearly at the other end. And I do think that that's pretty common these days to get in phones. It's nice to see it down here on the low end as well, but I didn't have any complaints using the phone. It's not common to use the phone, but I did. I tried it. Now, I guess for most of us, we want to hear about the camera. If you like taking selfies, then this phone has you covered. Now, a lot of people, I look at their social media and that's all it is selfies. It's just one after the other. You could probably get this phone and really enjoy using it because it smooths you out. It makes you look pretty. It makes you look blemish free. It gives you that sort of fake look that everyone comes to believe that that's what they look like. Well, you get that here. I did enjoy using it, but I was quickly sort of grossed out by how much it was making me look fake. So I did coil away from it a little bit, and I definitely turned off the settings that enable that soft skin feature. Let me give you some examples. So as we scroll through some of these photos, you can clearly see where I'm blemish free. And that's just not right for a 48-year-old dude, you know what I mean? So I don't know why young people would need it. They're already blemish free, but it's also going to touch you up even more. Now you can go even further. You can change the shape of your face and all sorts of things in the settings here in the camera. And I do think that sometimes there might be a reason to use that. I tend to turn it off. But you can see what I mean here as I scroll through. But look, for the most part, it took pretty good photos. And here's some of the city. I went into Brisbane City and took some photos of the sun setting, and it was a bit of blue hour, a bit of golden hour, and the river and the buildings, and everything looked pretty nice and pleasant on the eye. And if you're taking photos here with this, sharing them on social media, I don't think it's going to be too bad at all. Now, let me just say this out nice and clearly so you can all make your own judgment. In good lighting, it takes good photos. In poor lighting, it starts to fall apart pretty quickly. And I'll just share a photo here. I went out with someone that I work with, and we went to a shisha bar. I don't know if that's how you say it, but I took a photo with this and a photo with the Pixel 8 Pro, and the difference is just night and day. So you're not going to get those amazing low light photos here. It's just not in that price point. So if you do want that, you're going to have to fork out some more money and get a higher end phone. But you can also see here, I took some product shots and they turned out pretty good as well. I mean, overall, it's a pretty good camera for the price. I just can't get over these selfies of me. Oh my goodness. Front facing camera, Oppo Reno 11F, 4K. That's not bad. I've seen quite a few of the Oppo phones, around this price point, you might or might not get 4K, but here we definitely have 4K. What do you think? It looks pretty good now, like right now, but if I turn around this way, I still look pretty good, but the sky is way blown out. And the interesting thing is, it's really not that cloud and not that bright. Like it's 4 o'clock, sunset's in an hour and a half, so it's really good lighting, but you can see it struggles to handle those highlights. But 4K 30 at this price point on the front facing camera. Not bad. I'm gonna record video. Okay, this is the rear facing camera, 4K 30 frames per second. Again, like the front facing camera, 4K 30. But I think the rear facing camera is handling the highlights better. I can't actually see right now, but I did just do a test before, and this definitely looked better in handling the highlights. You can see the blue sky, you can see the clouds. The clouds are still blown out, but in the front facing camera, the whole sky part behind me was blown out. So I think this is pretty good. Good enough for vlogging, good enough for, you know, your TikTok videos where you're just recording some pretty basic stuff, Instagram reels, that sort of shit. You're not gonna have any problems with it. And video calls it will handle as well. I like it. I like it. This is the stabilization. I don't know if you like it or not, but it's as stable as it's going to get. I'm walking on flat ground. Stabilized, rear facing camera. Now when you do turn on like active stabilization, it does go back to 1080p 60 frames per second, which isn't bad. 60 frames per second. If you do edit, you can slow it down in post, and also it crops in a bit. You can see the difference when you crop in to get that stabilization. So bit of a double-edged sword. You lose the 4K, but you get the stabilization, which then also gives you the ability to edit the video and add slow motion. Did I just repeat myself? I'm pretty sure I did. Crop mode. Stabilization on. Hey! Ultra steady mode. On the skatey. Woo! Old dude on the skatey. Is that how you do it, TikTokers? So even in portrait mode, it's quite hard to use stabilization because it crops in so much. You're chopping off here or you're chopping off here. So you might not want to use stabilization for your vlogging because it crops in so much. But it's worth showing you that this is the crop. My arm's fully stretched out, crop mode, stabilization mode I should say, and you can see it does some damage to your vlogging ability. Anyway, I'm old school, back to landscape. In video mode, you can shoot in 4K 30 frames per second, 1080p 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second, and then 720p 30 frames and 60 frames per second. However, if I turn on ultra steady mode, I then can only shoot in 1080p 60 frames per second. I can't actually shoot in 4K. Now, if I turn the camera around to face me, I can shoot in 4K 30 frames per second, 1080p 30 frames per second, and 720p 30 frames per second. Again, if I turn on ultra steady mode, I can then only shoot in 1080p. But anyway, it's a good little phone for the price. You're gonna get really good battery life, you're gonna get a decent camera, you're gonna get decent video, you're gonna get decent performance, and I think for 600 bucks, if you're getting decent across the range of specs, then you're going to be pretty satisfied with the outcome. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Again, sorry for the gap between videos. More videos coming. Love yous. Catch yous in the next video.